I've had the Google Pixel 6 Pro for a little over 75 days. Let's talk about that. What's up everybody, this is Scott. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the look, the feel, performance, you name it, the whole 9 yards. This is the 75 plus-ish day, probably at the time of this recording, it's probably about 78, 79 days that I have had the Pixel 6 Pro as my daily driver. Yes, I have had it since September 16th. You can go check out this little doobly-doo card thing here that goes and shows you exactly my 30-day review that I had it, but this is the 75-day review, and I've got quite a few things to say about what I love about the device, what I don't like about the device, and what I think they need to do to get a little bit better. So let's just go ahead and dive straight into it. So let's first talk about the look and the feel of the device. This is an exquisite looking glass and all metal construction. It has the LTPO curved glass panel on it, which is 6.7 inches of just absolute beauty when it comes to the screen. Now, after 75-ish days with the device, I still have got a screen protector on it since basically day one. I don't use any like glass panel tempered screen protector or anything like that. I just have a regular old film screen protector. That's probably one of the things that I noticed right off the bat is the fact that I haven't found one yet. I know somebody mentioned in my comments the other day one particular tempered glass screen protector that does work with it, but I will leave a link in the description below for the exact one that I use that I know works with the in-display fingerprint scanner. It's just a film one. I got a 2-pack on Amazon for 15 bucks, so it's nothing that's too overwhelmingly expensive. This does come with the Gorilla Glass Victus, which means it's more drop resistant, not necessarily less scratch proof, so I highly recommend putting on a screen protector, no question about that. I've had one on since day one, well, close to day-ish one, and I've had no scratches or anything like that from that perspective. But anyway, this is an all glass and metal construction. On the back, you can see that it is a beautiful glass-looking sandwich. It is a fingerprint magnet. I'm looking at it right now up in my external monitor, and it is very, very shiny. But I do rock this thing in a case constantly because of that all glass metal construction that comes with it. I am a fingerprint person that I just can't stand to have fingerprints on my phone. So needless to say, yeah, I rock with this thing in a case constantly. One thing I've noticed is I've gotten used to the fact that it has 120 hertz refresh rate. I don't even think about it at any point. It just automatically works. One thing that I will notice that some of the apps haven't updated, that Twitter still has, to this very day, even 75 days later, it has not updated. So when I refresh Twitter up and down, it's still a little bit jaggedy. I have heard reports that it's now happening on Apple iPhones too, which just tells me that it is a third-party app, not necessarily the Pixel itself that is getting kind of hampered by the fact that the 120 hertz refresh rate isn't working with all the apps. Some of my other apps, it absolutely scrolls flawlessly. I have had no issues at all as it relates to that. Let's talk about the battery life next. From a battery life perspective, I get all day battery life with this. Even after 75 days, a big, beautiful 6.7 inch display. I don't keep on adaptive brightness because it's just a setting that I just can't stand. So I constantly run the brightness of my phone from anywhere between 75 and 85%. So it's on quite a bit from a brightness perspective because I absolutely love the bright, vivid screen that it is. So I have between 75 and 85% brightness on at all times, and I am still getting all day battery life, constantly on YouTube, constantly on Twitter, doing all things with the Microsoft Office suite because that's exactly what my work uses. So needless to say, I am using this thing like the workhorse that it is, and I'm ending the day somewhere between 17 and 27% battery life, depending on exactly how many YouTube videos I've watched with my phone for the entire day. Now, I have to talk about the fact that the 30-watt charging is not actually 30-watt charging. They said the Pixel is, after everything that's been said and done from a 30-watt charging perspective, it comes to find out that afterwards, the Pixel charges at a maximum of 22 watts. I have heard a rumor that I think that that's actually going to be lifted as it relates to an exclusive Pixel drop. I've heard that they're making some changes a little bit later as it relates to that. But at the time of recording this video, the Pixel 6 Pro is kind of maxed out at 22 watts, even if you buy a 30-watt charger. Now, one thing I will say is make sure the people that are complaining about the battery life charging very, very slow are probably also the same people that have adaptive battery on. Adaptive battery is there to protect the life of the battery battery itself, which means if you have an alarm set or anything like that, it's going to take the majority of the night to get all the way up to 100%. It's basically going to trickle charge that thing from, let's say, 10 o'clock at night to 5 or 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, depending on what time you have the alarm set. If you want to get the fastest charging that you can out of your Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro, turn off adaptive battery. That way you can get that super fast 50% battery life charge in 30 minutes that they talked about when they released this phone. That is exactly what people are putting up with right now, and I bet you anything that a wide majority of them have adaptive battery on, thinking that it's some super awesome feature, which it is, but they're also the same people that are complaining about the battery life being a little bit slow, and that is completely by design. Now, from a wireless charging perspective and reverse wireless charging, I have used reverse wireless charging a total of 1 time. That was to charge my Pixel Buds, and that was literally it. I haven't used it to charge any of the other devices. It's a nice feature to have just in case, but I've used it a total of 1 time in 75, 76-ish days of having this particular device. Wouldn't call it a gimmick, would just call it that something I don't use very much. Now, from a performance perspective, performance-wise, I'm going to lump this into the software and the OS experience because right now, Android 12, I love you. I really, really want to love you a lot. But the problem that I'm having is that there's a ton of little bugs here and there with Android 12 that's causing a lot of trouble. Now, I have heard that if you go back and do a complete factory reset on the phone, a lot of these things stop and go away. I'm not going to do that because I'm lazy. That's literally the entire reason why I won't do it. I'm just going to wait until they provide an update or some sort of exclusive feature drop that pushes a new update to all of us Pixel users. But long story short, there are some apps that just force close all the time. YouTube Creator app was one that I use constantly when I'm trying to respond to comments and things of that nature. That's when I usually have a problem, and it usually force closes itself and I have to use some sort of other device. I've just gotten kind of used to it. It is a pain in the butt when I'm trying to interact with you guys here in the comments. That's why I have actually been less on the comment responses, because it has been a true pain in the butt as it relates to putting out responses because the app continuously closes. I've learned of a few other quirks from an Android 12 perspective watching others' videos, but I actually haven't experienced those in the 75-ish days that I've used it. But I would say the biggest thing that's holding back the Pixel 6 Pro and the Pixel 6 is actually the bugs from Android 12, but that's actually completely across the board. Android 12 on a lot of other devices is having similar issues as it relates to some of the quirks and the bugginess from it. I would say that from an update perspective, it's really got nothing to do with the hardware of the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro. It's got everything to do with Android 12 really kind of holding this device back from being truly exceptional on every single level from a hardware perspective and a software perspective. You're still going to get that same 3 years, 4 years, 5 years of software updates, security updates, and things of that nature, which is absolutely totally fantastic, but I do really need Android 12 to get a little less buggy and a little more stable before I can say, like, yes, absolutely, hands down, bar none, this is the device that you want to have for the remainder of the year and for several years to come. And I do think they're going to probably figure that out from an Android 12 update. I would be surprised if it wasn't sometime in December when we get that update. From a camera perspective, I could sit here and tell you it's 48 megapixels for a telephoto and 12 megapixels for an ultra wide, and the 6 Pro has a 4x optical zoom and things of that nature, but you've probably already watched my first video. If you haven't, link in the description and link probably somewhere up here where you can get more camera specs specifically. But let's just take a look at some of the shots that I have shot over the course of these 75, 78-ish days from a Pixel 6 Pro. So as you can see, the pictures are absolutely fantastic, but even some of the video itself is absolutely fantastic. So let's take a look at some of those and talk about that. Now we are on 4K 60 on both the Pixel 6 Pro as well as the iPhone 12 Pro. I still have the speech enhancement on from the Google's perspective. Let's take a look. Kind of slide it around here. Maybe do like a slight pickup on my feet to see what it looks like, maybe in a fast pace, to see if this looks like it. The video has taken a huge step forward. I've actually used this phone to shoot some of my overhead shots from a video perspective, especially of my last video that I just shot. So needless to say, you get really good video. They take a huge step forward from a video department perspective, and I still believe that this is the portrait king as it relates to all photos as well. So yes, it's a total package from a photography perspective, as well as definitely more than serviceable. I would actually say it's pretty darn good video out of the Pixel 6 Pro. Now, while there's a lot of love about it, I would say that the two biggest things that I absolutely do not like at all as it relates to the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro is, one, I've talked about it before, the Android 12 bugs absolutely must hands down be worked out in an update that is coming out sooner rather than later. And also, boy, that fingerprint scanner, it has gotten better with updates, but holy crap, it needs to get a lot better, a lot faster, and a lot quicker. And I mean quicker in terms of updates coming out quicker than what we're seeing right now. The in-display fingerprint scanner is one of the biggest things that's holding back this device because it's just not nearly as fast as all the other ones. Now I get it, first time it's ever been not on the back of the device, but inside the actual screen itself. I get it, it's a first generation type thing from what we're seeing from Google. But holy cow, this is one of the things that it's like, it is day one, bar none, something that they had to get right. And I want to say that they just need to put a little bit more effort into it because it's just not where I'd like it to be from a comparison perspective of like either the OnePlus or Samsung or anything like that. I just need the fingerprint scanner to be a little bit faster, and you can tell that they're working on it. I know for sure that they're working on it because they put out that mid-November update just to show you that the fingerprint scanner got a little bit better, and it's definitely better, but it's still not one of the best. And I expect, from my expectations perspective, this to be a lot better than it currently is. Now, I believe that they're going to continue to work on it, just like they're working on the bugs from Android 12. But Android 12 and the fingerprint scanner is really what's holding back this device from being a hands-down slam dunk device of the year. But I still truly believe it is the device of the year because of two reasons. For the Pixel 6 perspective, it's that $599, sometimes even $399 on Black Friday was what some of the things that I saw, but also $899, so it's undercutting the price of OnePlus, iPhone 13 Pro, Samsung S21 Ultra. It's undercutting the price from that perspective. So from a price perspective, it is more than serviceable. That new chipset from a Tensor perspective is more than servable from a performance perspective. So all in all, there's a lot to love about this device, and if the only thing that's holding it back is something that will probably be updated with a software experience, then you really can't go wrong with buying this device at all. So that's it. That's all I have. As always, like, share, subscribe, thumbs up, leave a comment below, and we'll see you next time.